And I think that kind of natural rebellion, that natural juice that you have is irrepressible.
Bruce, Warren, blessed day.
Blessed day to you as well.
Thanks so much for the time. I really, really appreciate it. The Testaments is another incredible series. And I would love to hear from you both why you wanted to continue the story.
Well, I think for first is Margaret wanted to continue the story, and Margaret had more of the story to tell. So, really, I've taken my guidance from her from the very beginning. I mean, I was a Handmaid's Tale fan long before I ever got involved in this project. And so I think that when Margaret started to talk about writing another book, it was very early in our process. I mean, it was 2018 when she started to talk, and Handmaid's was only a year old. But I think hearing her get excited by us talking about continuing The Handmaid's Tale and the characters growing and how the actors were taking these characters and moving them, she certainly had an enthusiasm for telling not this part of Gilead, which was the kind of oppressive beginning, but perhaps an awakening that was happening with this second generation of women. Even though they were raised and indoctrinated in Gilead, there's this, kind of irrepressible spirit and hope in them that you just can't, no matter how much you set up a structure like Gilead, you can't fight. So I think what she was trying to do is show yet another example of the misguided misogyny of Gilead thinking they can control these young women, which they can't, by the way.
Well, this is one of the things I think is so fascinating about Testaments. Of course, coming after The Handmaid's Tale, which, to for lack of a better way of stating it, feels like a show that's looking out of Gilead. Feels like a series that has changed perspective and is looking in. Can you talk about that difference and how that affects and shapes these characters as it moves forward?
Well, I think that it's built on purpose that way. We follow a new character, Daisy, into this world. So we're really getting, even though we know Gilead, I think for an audience member, it was very important to me that the show was accessible, even if you never saw Handmaid's Tale or had never heard of Handmaid's Tale. It should be interesting and fascinating, and these characters should be completely on their own. And anything you hear about a handmaid or something should be fascinating. So I think that it has to be its own world, and it has to be independently satisfying. So I completely forgot your question, but
Uh, well, I think you actually answered it, Bruce. Yes, it is a different point of view, and that enables us to have a new perspective on Gilead. These women, these young girls, right, have never known a world that wasn't Gilead, and they're brought up in a privileged way. So season one is their awakening. What is this world that I'm really a part of? And then what do I want to do about it? And their youth, their strength, and the quest they take on, that's what gives us hope.
I love that you use the word hope because there does seem to be that embedded in the series. However, one of the phrases that kept coming to mind as I'm watching it is generational shame. And as we begin to wrap, I wondered if you could talk about that as an idea in this series, because certainly you're right. Many of these young girls have just grown up in this world. They don't know anything else, and it's been passed down to them.
Well, I think it's absolutely true. I mean, how much do you take on the mistakes of your previous ancestors, even if they're right around you, especially when you were brought up by this world, not with an influence in it, but under the thumb of it. And I think you do. I think that one of the things that's difficult about our girls is that they're coming to terms with their complicity in the world and their blindness, not only at what's going on beyond their sights, but within them. What's being repressed, what's being pushed, what parts of their personality are not being allowed to be expressed. So all of that stuff, I think, they're living in a world where it's this personal limit as in addition to this world limit. And I think when it's your own limit you're pushing against, when you reach adolescence, it doesn't matter what the world says. You push against those, you rebel in your own way. And I think that kind of natural rebellion, that natural juice that you have, is irrepressible. It does not no matter what society you put it in, it does not go away. It existed in Nazi Germany. It existed, all across Africa when there were movements like that. It does not go away. And I think that that hopefulness comes from the fact that, hoping for it or not, it's going to happen. You've got these grenades you pulled the pin out of when they were born, and they're going to explode into women. And you should really start thinking about the fact that what you thought was going to contain them really isn't going to contain them. And what are you going to do now?
And so it was important for us to do, 4 years later, after Handmaid's Tale, a different region from Handmaid's Tale, not do season 7 of Handmaid's Tale, but bring to the audience the Testaments. If you know about the other series, that's great, but it's not a barrier to entry.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is an open door with a new series in an old world. And praises be. It's wonderful. Thank you both so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad it wasn't torture.
Listen, it's a hard watch. Okay?
It is.
Yes.
I know.
I'm sorry. I hope it is torture, but